The purpose of this demonstration is going to be to review Odoo's inventory and manufacturing solution from high level. So the first thing we're going to focus on here is a general overview of the way the system is designed. As you can see, Odoo's modular. You have a bunch of different applications, all which relate to your business and all which you've been given access to as a user by the administrator. You can see up here, you can manage activities. We don't have any in this bucket. Can see you can manage messages, you can write to people, etc. on here if you had other users, a little internal messaging tool. In addition to that, we have a developer mode, which I will exit for today's demonstration. So first off, let's look at the inventory application. When you open up the inventory app, the first thing that you see is a dashboard. And this dashboard is going to show you a high-level overview of all the different operations which you, as a user, are going to see. You can see we can manage incoming receipts of products here. So whenever I generate a purchase order, and the purchase order will automatically trigger a incoming product receipt. Whenever I want to move, and you'll see I'll be able to manage that here. Whenever I want to move products from location A to location B, I will do so via an internal transfer here. Whenever I sell products via a sale order, it will generate a delivery order automatically in the system, and I will manage the fulfillment of that delivery order through this window here. Whenever I have a manufacturing order that gets confirmed and I need to pick components for that manufacturing order, I will manage the pickings here. And lastly, I'll manage the actual production of the manufacturing order here. The overview provides you with insight into all of those different operations. Next is to actually pull down the drop-down menu of operations, which will give you the internal transfer window, inventory adjustment window, where you can run your cycle counts. Right? If we create a quick adjustment, we can see here, if we do inventory 2019 for all products, including exhausted stock, save, start the inventory, and we'll see we have all the products, only 3 in this demo database, that we can look at. We can see the actual products, the units of measure, the location that they're in, if there's a serial number affiliated, and lastly, the theoretical quantities in stock and the real quantities. So as we go through, we can update the real quantities on hand to match what we actually have in our warehouse during a cycle count. And once we're done with that, we validate the inventory and it posts it. And we can see if we go into our reporting right now and we look at our inventory report, we can either look at the inventory now or the specific historical date, and we can retrieve quantities, and we'll see we have 1 unit of material 1 and 2 in stock. Back here, a scrap location. This is an inventory loss location, so you'll be able to move products to your scrap, which will still technically be in your inventory. However, it will be an inventory loss location. So you will see all of the inventory which is useless or which you've scrapped, which then you can quantify, you can give a valuation to, and you can start to strategize from a purchasing perspective around that. Lastly, in running schedulers, this automates procurements in the background. What does that mean? You're going to see shortly once we look at reordering rules and things like that. Master data. Master data is going to give you your product overview, right? So if you open this up, it's going to show you your product catalog, quote unquote. This catalog is where you configure all the back-end details of the product, the manufacturing of it, the bill of materials associated with that, all of the details around cost, price, quantities on hand, right? If we open it up, we can see all those details here. On hand, forecasted amount, any product moves, reordering rules, routes, bills of materials, how many times has this been manufactured, purchased, sold, etc. You can see here we can also configure products. We can say, yes, I want my salespeople to be able to sell this, meaning it can be added to a quote, or no, in that case, unclick it. If I want my procurement team to be able to add this to a purchase order line, then I would leave this clicked, which, because I manufacture it, I won't need that. General information, product type, right? Is it a consumable, is it a service product, or is it a storable product? All these have different implications when it comes to configuring the product and how that product behaves in the system. Product category. In the categorization of the product where we're going to define a lot of the characteristics related to valuation, accounting, costing, things like that. You can see that all here. Standard, FIFO, or average. How do we want to generate costs for this? Valuation method, manual or automated. And then, of course, the accounting properties here, such as where are we posting journal entries when we move these products around in stock. and income expense account for the sale of the product. Lastly, routes. If we want to specify a custom route for this product, maybe we do some subcontracting or something like that, handle it through here. And forced removal strategy. We have FIFO, LIFO, we also have FIFO, first expiry, first out, in terms of when we want to pull products from stock. Internal reference is what Odoo calls a SKU. You can also print out a barcode here as well. You can, whatever you want. Sale price, this is what it'll show up as on the set order line. Cost price, this is what it will show up in our inventory value per unit. And we can see that here. Sales, when do we want to invoice our customers for this product? When they order it or when we deliver it to them? Odoo will prompt you to invoice the client depending on how you have this set. Inventory tab, very important tab. This tab is going to allow you to handle routes. Do I manufacture this product? Do I buy it? Am I doing make to order? We'll explore this option a little later. The manufacturing lead time, right? When do I want to tell my internal team it's time to produce this product? When do I want to tell my customers they're going to get the product? All of that's handled here. Traceability, you can handle serialization, track by lot numbers, or no tracking. And logistics here, weight and volume. This plays a role when you integrate with a shipping carrier. It's going to transfer the weight, the volume field, as well as the end customer ship address. It's going to run a calculation in the shipping application, which will then spit out a real live price from your preferred shipping carrier. And you can print shipping labels as well out of the system. Accounting, expense, income account, very straightforward. Now, you'll also see I have a bill of material associated with this. If I open this up, I can see the bill of material for the final product. Right now, in order to produce 1 unit of the final product, it requires these raw materials in these quantities and these units. So if I back up here, let's actually run a manufacturing order. And actually, before I run an MO, let's go into inventory and finish up this review. Reordering rules. Reordering rules allow you to say, order more of this product when it hits this minimum quantity, and when the system asks how much do you want me to order, it brings your stock levels back up to the maximum quantity specified here. So if I had 0 and 10, every time my stock hit 0, it would order 10 more to bring me back up to the maximum. And lot serial numbers, which are pretty self-explanatory. We do have full 360 traceability in the system looking downstream at a product, and we can get into that if you have questions. Reporting, we have a warehouse dashboard. I don't have much data in this demo database, but I can at least help you understand some of the KPIs that the system offers. You can look here at delivery cycle lead time. This will show you the amount of time on average it takes to deliver, the amount of time on average it takes to receive deliveries and delays. So you can see if there's been any delays, receipt delays, inventory turnover, what's your inventory value, outgoing inventory value, and then incoming inventory value. And you're able to define those values within each of those little fields, those KPIs, based on a specific range. You can do the last 70, 30, 365, today, this week, this month, this quarter, year, etc. Or you can compare to a previous period or a year, and you'll be able to run those comparison charts accordingly. Now, there's also other information here, which we'll get into shortly. So that's the inventory dashboard. We also have an inventory report, which I showed you, which will retrieve quantities on hand in their specified locations, as we can see here. We'll also be able to run an inventory valuation, where we can look at the inventory value of all the products on hand and what they're valued at. Raw material 1 doesn't seem to have a cost associated to it, as you can see. I could easily go into master data, products, raw material 1, edit, jump a cost in there, run my report, and you'll see my inventory valuation has jumped. And lastly, you have a product move. So here you can see all the moves made by all the products. If we exit out, we'll see we made 2 moves when we ran our inventory cycle count earlier, roughly at, what is that, 8:12, and now it's 8:19, so about 7 minutes ago. So that, in a nutshell, is how that will work. If you're interested in and you have additional questions, you can let me know, and I'll be happy to address. So moving forward into manufacturing, if you open up the manufacturing application, you'll see here we have a blank system. We can easily go ahead and create a manufacturing order. Before I actually do that, I want to take a look here at the inventory app. You'll see pick components to manufacture. Right now we have nothing to process. So the warehouse team they're not being alerted about anything. You can see if I go to the manufacturing app and I create and I add a product and I save it and confirm the MO, it automatically generates the picking for me. The picking is going to be for these two products. And I can access the picking here, right from the MO, see what's going on with it. Or I can jump out of here and go to my inventory app and see here. Now we have one waiting. If we open it up, we will see it's for manufacturing order number 1. The status is waiting. And if we open this, you're going to see all the details of the picking, right? You're going to see the operation type, it's picking to manufacture. The source location, it's going to say here's where you need to pick these products from. The destination location is going to tell you where you're moving these products to, which in this instance, we have a pre-production location. And here are the two materials you'll be picking. Here's the demand for it. When I check the availability, it's going to reserve those two quantities in stock. Just like that, they've been reserved. And now if I go back to my inventory overview, you'll see it's ready to process. Once those have been reserved, right, you can easily go in and validate it. Or before I validate it, I want to show you the picking, give you an idea of what this looks like. Very simple, right? We have a bar, everything can be barcoded in the system and all done via a virtual interface, so you won't ever need to print anything if you don't want to. But it's going to tell you, you're picking this for warehouse manufacturing order number 1. It's ready. Here's the scheduled date. Here are the products you need, the quantities, and here's where you're picking them, and here's where you're delivering them. So very straightforward, dummy proof. Once the person picks these, they simply validate. Once it's been validated, they've been moved out of stock to a pre-production location. And you can see that quickly by going to stock, the location. You can look at current stock, and you'll see that those are 0 on hand. And if I jump back out to this, and I look at the pre-production location, stock, I have 1 on hand in this location per quantity, per product. Now, if I go into the manufacturing, I'll see my materials are available. And I should have showed you this a little earlier, if I go and create another MO for this, and I check availability, right, it doesn't reserve because it's not picked yet. And if I go into my manufacturing order, you're going to see it's still waiting. I don't have those materials in there, in the location that I need them to be in order to go ahead and manufacture this. I do have them for manufacturing order number 1, however. Why? Because I executed the picking, picked the products, and I've now moved them to the right location, where once I can go in, I click produce, and it has my quantities all lined up for me. It's all ready to consume. I can record the production, and it will consume the 2 raw materials, and it will produce 1 finished product. And I can see everything up here. I could see a traceability report if I want, and I can look downstream and understand the raw materials that were consumed in this process. And if I click into it, it would take me, in this instance, back to the original MO. I can also look at the inventory moves associated with this. I just moved from pre-production to the production location to a unit of raw material 1 and a unit of raw material 2, and I moved from production to stock, a final product. And lastly, if I go to cost analysis, it will break out the total cost of that product. I don't have labor configured in this environment. I could show you that if you're interested, just let me know, but it would also include labor in the costing of this final product if I wanted it to in real time based on the total cost per hour at a specific workstation. Now that is done. MO1 is done, and I can easily filter and I can look at all my MOs that are done just like that. So if I go into reporting and if I go into my inventory and I look at my stock, I can see I have 1 product in my stock of final product here. Now, let's check out and see what it looks like when I sell this, right? And this isn't necessarily in your requirements, but the integration it's awesome, and I think you guys need to see it. You click quotations here. Let's just sell something to John Doe, right? And this is very basic. This is the most basic, rudimentary version of a quote that we have in Odoo. It's what you see the minute you install it, right? You simply select some payment terms, you add a product here to the line, and it would tell me if I didn't have it in stock. See, if I click 2, in this instance, it's actually going to manufacture another one the way I have it set up. But if I have one, it would tell me if I set it up correctly, I didn't have enough in stock to fulfill that. But if I go ahead and I confirm this and sell this product, it automatically generates for me a delivery order, just like that. So all the folks in inventory can go in here and see here, delivery order 1 to process. Simple as that. They can go in, open it, they see it's for sale order 1, it's going to John Doe, the scheduled date, which is going to be based on the lead time, which is 0 days, which means it'll process immediately. In this demo, I can see that product, that final product we just produced, is already reserved. If I go ahead and validate it, again, just like we did with the picking, same concept, it moves it out of stock to the virtual location of John Doe, and it's no longer in my stock. And I can go here to inventory report, and I see there's nothing there. Now, if I go back to sales, and if I go to John Doe, if I try to sell that final product again, it would, let me just try this. See, if I do 3 units, it'll say you don't have enough inventory. The reason why is even if I do 2 units, it'll tell me I don't have enough inventory. The reason it lets me do 1 unit is because technically Odoo recognizes that I have 1 here forecasted to come in because I confirmed this MO. Check availability, etc. So that in a nutshell is how that manufacturing is going to work. Now, again, this is the most basic version of a manufacturing order you're looking at. You can also get into things like reordering rules and whatnot, right? So it recognizes, for instance, here, I don't have enough in stock. If I go to purchasing right now, if I go to inventory and run my scheduler, and then I go to purchasing, you'll see it just created a brand new purchase order for me. Why? Because I have those order points set up, right? The reordering rules for raw material 1 and 2 to order me the required quantities in demand, which at this moment, it's only 1. If I go ahead and I create another manufacturing order quickly, just like that, check my availability, nothing there, and I go ahead and I run that inventory schedule once more, and I go back to purchasing, open it up, I'll see the quantity is now updated to 2. And just because Odoo's, the way I have it set up is it automatically is going to tell me when I need more. Simple. If I change the reordering rule to 10 and I run my scheduler again, it'll update the quantities to 10. Simple as that. So I can always, same concept. Confirm these. Again, bring those products in, right? If I go back to my inventory app, you'll see I'm ready to process a receipt now. Go ahead, validate that, bring those into my stock, and then I can actually go in here. If I run a scheduler again and go to overview, it's going to tell me just like that, you now have 2 to process here, meaning the system is smart enough to know, hey, those 2 quantities that you need for these manufacturing orders, they just came in. One of your guys, it's ready to process. It's time for them to pick those quantities and make sure that they get over to the manufacturing facility so that they can start manufacturing them. Very, very straightforward. And you can see it goes from waiting to ready. So for instance, let's say, and this is the chatter, I didn't mention this earlier, but this is actually a historical log of all activity as it relates to this order. So if someone says, and this is a pro tip, someone says, oh, I didn't move those, let's say they didn't move these raw materials into the manufacturing, the pre-production location for, from 6 hours from now. You'll always be able to look in the system and say, well, according to our system, those materials were actually ready and they were in their stock location, ready to be picked at 8:28 p.m. in 25 seconds. And now it looks like you took, how long? How many seconds difference? See, waiting to ready was at 8:28:25, and then done is 8:29:30. So, roughly a minute and 5 seconds gap here. So if people are taking a lot of time, you can always look at that. You can always see, Val, what were you doing for 6 hours? This was sitting and ready to go. And you can really start to hone in and make sure that things are speeding up and that you're able to, fit more production essentially in the 8-hour workday. So once those are brought over, you'll be able to do this as well. And the minute that those get brought over, your manufacturing team is going to see, boom, we have materials available, right? They can always look and they can always know what's waiting availability, what's confirmed, and what's ready to go. And just like that, they can easily go in and they can plan those production orders if they want to. Once planned, a simple produce, right? Consume the raw materials, mark is done, and go back to the second one, produce, consume, mark, and mark is done. And just like that, we have now 2 more units in our inventory of that particular final product. If we go to our inventory dashboard here, if I change done transfers last 30 days, yeah, 1.5K inventory value, outgoing values, we only shipped 1 unit at $650. And we can start to see some metrics generating here automatically as we start to use the system. Now, I think that should give you an overview. I mean, there's so much more in the system that I want to show you guys, like the Customer 360 and, Odoo Studio, where you can drag and drop and edit fields and, easily bring things and drop and design a system really from scratch if you want to. All out of the box. Again, no code, nothing fancy. Everything you see is what you get. I hope that this is at least appetizing enough for you to understand what you're working with here and how it can add value and add efficiency by helping you remove all those integrations you have between different systems and all the manual data entry and all the back and forth. I hope that this at least did its job. But if you'd like to continue this conversation, I'd be more than happy to work with you guys and help you find a good solution here that's going to really make sense to take the business to the next level. Thanks so much for your time and have a great night.